Taliban ruled Afghanistan. CNN reported last Saturday that women in Afghanistan must cover their faces in public, according to a decree issued by the Taliban. The new rules say women must cover their faces, ideally wearing the traditional burqa. If a woman does not follow the rules, her male guardian will be visited and advised, and eventually jailed and sentenced. Women who work in government offices and do not follow the new decree will be fired. In November, the Taliban issued guidelines to broadcasters that prohibited all dramas, soap operas, and entertainment shows featuring women. Female news presenters must also now wear headscarves on screen. These were the first restrictions of their kind imposed on the country's media network. In December, the Taliban banned women from taking long-distance road trips in Afghanistan on their own, requiring that a male relative accompany them for any distance beyond 45 miles. The new rules also called on drivers not to allow women without veils to sit in their cars. Girls' high schools were shut in March on the morning they were due to open. All these rules are to prevent women from coming to any harm or disturbance, according to Mohammed Sadiq Hakif Mahajer, spokesman for the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice. The tragic thing is that there is nothing the more civilized world can do about it. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
Spring is here, which means athletes and outdoor enthusiasts are hitting the fields, tracks, and trails in preparation for summer play. Hello, I'm Dr. Kevin McNamara, a podiatrist at Mansfield Orthopedics. As you gear up for outdoor activities, let's not forget about your feet. For more than 30 years, I've been caring for people and their feet. Sometimes the care is an easier fix. Other times, treatment is long-term or may involve surgery. In addition to sports medicine, I care for many common foot ailments, from corns, bunions, and plantar fasciitis, to more serious issues including diabetic foot complications, wounds, and infections. Some of the more common sports injuries I care for include sprains, foot and toe fractures, heel pain, Achilles, and other tendon injuries. For more information on Copley Hospital's foot care program, or to schedule an appointment with me, Dr. McNamara, or my colleagues, call 802-888-8405 or visit mansfieldorthopedics.com.
Thinking of lawn and garden? Bring your list to Guy's Farm and Yard stores in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. They have all the Vermont Moo products, Green Mountain mulch, Vermont compost, peat moss and potting soils, Coast of Maine, and Happy Frog, to name a few. Guy's has seeds from High Mowing, Heart, Botanical Interest, and New England Seed. Limes and fertilizers, too. Guy's Farm and Yard stores, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road in St. Albans. Open every day.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do. At nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV.
With all that has changed in our lives, J. Morgan Steakhouse remains a constant for offering comfort food, atmosphere, and a friendly face. As always, in-house cut steaks, fresh seafood, pastas, and daily specials continue to grace the menu. Call for a booth, belly up to the bar, or order takeout at jmorgansteakhouse.com. Open lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday. J. Morgan's, Vermont's cutting-edge steakhouse, State Street, Montpelier.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
The Patriots are now closer to the bottom of the AFC than the top. That's a fact.
The stories that matter to you.
Trevor Story, man, he makes the Red Sox much, much better in 2022.
This is your home for New England sports.
I'm just wondering what happens next for UVA, because I think there could be a lot of turnover on that roster.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show on a Thursday here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show today, all 90 minutes. We go up until 7 o'clock. No Red Sox baseball today. Sox beaten by the Braves yesterday on a walk-off. Now they are 11-20. We'll talk about the Red Sox with Buster Olney of ESPN, as we do every Thursday. He'll be with me in about 15 minutes. And then late in the 6 o'clock hour, probably about 6:45. We're going to talk a little bit with UVM women's lacrosse coach Sarah Dalton Graddock. Her team is going to the NCAA tournament first round tomorrow. They'll take on the University of Denver. So congratulations to UVM. That's their first ever America East tournament title. So Coach Dalton Graddock will be with us. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also get in on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and my Twitter account as well. So let's waste no time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber. They are Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I told you the other day that Game 4 for the Celtics could be summed up in 4 words, right? Remember that? The Al Horford game. That was Game 4. Game 5 can be summed up in 2 words. That's all you need. Choke job. Last night for the Boston Celtics was a complete choke job. The Celtics should be up 3-2 today, and they should be this close to punching a ticket back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Instead, they are 1 step away from elimination. For as good as the Celtics have been over the last 3.5-4 months, for as much hope as they've provided, last night was a collapse. There's no other way to say it. It was a collapse. Our guy, Freddie Coleman, he doesn't want to hear it, but Freddie is wrong.
I guarantee you, because we all live on planet Earth, the narrative is going to sound like that the Celtics choked this away.
They did.
It's the wrong narrative. Here's why it's the wrong narrative. Because the Milwaukee Bucks did to the Boston Celtics what the Boston Celtics did to the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 4. To bring some memory to your memory, Milwaukee had a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter at home. Al Horford and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart were terrific in the fourth quarter. Did Milwaukee get stagnant? Absolutely. Did Boston get stagnant tonight? Absolutely. But when a team does that, you got to take advantage of those things. Boston did it in Game 4. Nobody was saying that Milwaukee choked away the game in Game 4.
Freddie, I love you, but you are wrong. Freddie is the best. He's great to us. He's wrong here. It doesn't matter how good the other team is. When you are up 14 points in the fourth quarter at home in the playoffs, when you are up 11 with 7:41 to go at home in the playoffs, and when you are up 6 with 2:09 to go at home in the playoffs and you can't finish, that is the definition of a choke job. When you get outscored 23-9 over the final 8 minutes of the game at home in the playoffs, that is a collapse. That is you giving it away. Sure, the Bucks might have played well enough to earn it to some degree, but the Celtics left the door wide open. As good as Milwaukee was in the fourth, you were woeful. You lost that game, and I refuse to look at it any other way. The Celtics lost that game in the fourth quarter because of missed opportunities on the glass, because of miscommunication on the floor, because of some poor decision making, because of 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter, because of a lack of willingness to attack the basket. This game should have been over. When Al Horford makes this incredible putback dunk with 2:09 to play, the game should be over. Like, this play should have been the punctuation mark. It should have been the exclamation point on a Celtics victory.
2:15 to play. Brown picks it up, shoots top of the key, no good. Followed by Horford. Horford from the left wing. Sawed off the hand and dunked it back for a massive bucket.
That's the most athletic play I've seen Al Horford make in several years. That should have been the capper on a great night that had you 1 step away from the Eastern Conference Finals. Instead, you allow Giannis to hit a 3. You allow Drew Holiday to hit a 3. You turn the ball over multiple times down the stretch, and as a result, you're now going back to Milwaukee with your backs against the wall and the season hanging in the balance. The fourth quarter yesterday was brutal. It was a huge gut punch for a team that has been so good for the last several months. The missed rebound by the Celtics that allows Bobby Portis to give the Bucks a 108-107 lead was a gut punch. And after the game, the Celtics acknowledged that they were not good enough on the glass.
Offensive rebounds, really. The story of the game is they have 17 for 20 second chance points, and a large majority of those came in the second half. They only had 6 in the first half, so we were doing a good job as far as that. And to give up 14, and especially on those specific plays where they got kick-out threes, some were long rebounds, so a little bit tougher, but we got to find bodies, obviously, on those, and then the free throw one stands out.
That was head coach Ime Udoka saying the free throw one, the one by Portis there, that, again, gave him a 1-point lead late. That stands out. I'm not going to count the Celtics out. They've showed the ability to adjust. They've showed the ability to come back. They've taken punches all series, but you haven't taken a punch like this, where you give a game away at home, where you forfeit away home court advantage, and now you have the pressure of the season ending upon you. And that guy on the other side, Giannis, he smells blood in the water. He had 40 points yesterday. You know that he is coming, and you know at home he's going to want to end your season. The Celtics did a lot well yesterday, but they didn't do enough. They didn't do it when it counted. They didn't do it in the fourth. Tatum had 34 like we asked for. Jaylen Brown had 26. Marcus Smart hit threes. Derek White and Daniel Tice were 8 of 8 from the floor in the first half. You just didn't do enough, and you just didn't close. Like, the Celtics were in the bonus with 8+ minutes to play in the game. Think about that. The Celtics were going to shoot free throws for every foul for the final 8 minutes of the game. You're already up double figures at that point. The free throw line should have been a great separator for you. You're going to close this game out at the line. Instead, the Celtics only took 4 free throws from 8 minutes through the end of the game. You were in the bonus for 8 minutes, had a chance to force them into fouling, had a chance to pull away, and instead you refused to go to the basket, you refused to attack, and you take 4 free throws in the final 8 minutes. It is just dejecting what we saw in the fourth quarter yesterday. And yes, I know Milwaukee might have given one away in Game 4. I'm not worried about Milwaukee. When I'm doing radio someday, if I ever am in Milwaukee, then I'll worry about Milwaukee. I'm doing radio here, and I'm doing radio today, and that was a choke job. When you are up 14 points in the fourth quarter at home, that's got to be a win. When you're up 11 with 7.5 to go, that's got to be a win. When you're up 6 with 2:09 to go, that's got to be a win. When you're down 1 with 11 seconds, you've got a chance to do something special, and you couldn't. The Celtics just couldn't close. It doesn't undo everything great that they've done for the last several months, but it is a blown opportunity. Now you have to go back to Milwaukee and try to win again against the defending champs who sensed that blood in the water. I won't count them out, but to beat that team twice in a row, you haven't done it yet. Now you got to beat them at their place, and then you got to get them back for Game 7. Just completely unacceptable what we saw yesterday. Unacceptable. Celtics in the first half of the season couldn't close, gave away a lot of games. Yesterday, they went backwards. And there's all that stuff from the last couple of plays of the game and those interesting comments that came out after the game by both Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum, yeah, we're going to get to those too, because those also don't give you a whole lot of warm, fuzzy feelings inside. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Well, the Celtics were blowing it. The Red Sox were also blowing it yesterday. Sox beaten by the Braves 5-3 on a walk-off home run. You know what? The officials, I take it back. Officials, that's basketball. The umpires need to be held accountable. What they did to Plawecki yesterday was criminal. We'll talk about it with Buster Olney, ESPN MLB Insider. He's with us next on DEV.
Hi, it's Tara from Green Mountain Solar. Since day one, our goal has been to provide the best solar experience in Vermont. But you don't have to take our word for it. Here are a few of our customers sharing why they picked Green Mountain Solar.
I went with Green Mountain Solar because a friend of mine had a really great experience with them. I felt immediately a sense of integrity from start to finish.
I'm a firm believer of getting quotes from multiple companies, so we actually had 3 companies come out and he answered all my questions, and frankly he made it so that it was super easy for me, which is, especially in today's day and age, we have 2 young kids, so the easier it is for me, the better.
They're just these panels up on my roof, and they do this job of bringing electricity to the house that runs, everything.
If this sounds like the solar experience you're looking for, visit our website at greenmtnsolar.com.
It feels like magic to me, to be honest.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Vermont Army National Guard. Aired by the Vermont Association of Broadcasters and this station.
All the insight into everything going on in baseball. It's time for our weekly conversation with ESPN Baseball Insider and Vermont native, Buster Olney.
I'm just about ready to bet the family farm in Vermont.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Thursday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show all the way up until 7 o'clock. No Red Sox baseball today, which is good for the soul to not have the Red Sox play today. They can't disappoint us. They open up a series with the Rangers tomorrow. And joining us now is our ESPN MLB Insider, Buster Olney. Buster, we got lots to get to on the Sox. How are you?
I'm doing okay. My daughter graduates from college on Sunday, so that's a good thing. I'll have one of the 2 kids behind us in terms of paying bills.
Are you off Sunday Night Baseball Sunday as a result?
Yeah. She's graduated from Case Western University in Cleveland, so headed out there for the graduation ceremony, and more importantly, from her perspective, packing her up, which is always a process.
Well, congratulations to you. Let's talk about the Red Sox. A couple of different things from last night's game first. Red Sox lose 5-3 to the Braves. They lose on the walk-off home run. Ryan Brazier gives it up. And every time the Red Sox blow a lead late, the discussion turns to, why isn't Garrett Whitlock in that spot? We've talked about this. I think Whitlock should remain a starter. I think that's his long-term future. I think they're paying him like that. Now moving forward, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that especially when you're talking about, guys at the front of the rotation now, Chris Sale, we don't really know what he's going to be able to contribute, and he's older. And you have Nathan Eovaldi, who's in the last year of a 4-year contract with the Red Sox. We don't know where he's going to be. So they need to establish some bedrock. And I've always thought that, look, if you have a pitcher who, potentially could be someone who could impact you in the rotation, it literally means that you have that better pitcher throwing more innings. I mean, it's an easy math equation to embrace. I want Garrett Whitlock right now, when you look at the state of the Red Sox pitching staff, throwing more innings. I think that gives them a better chance. And I also believe, and you and I have seen this many times before, bullpens can veer wildly in their performance. So a bullpen that's awful at the beginning of a season can be great by the end. Think of the 2019 Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
They got off to a terrible start. Their bullpen was awful. And at the end of the year, it was Daniel Hudson, who they acquired after he'd been released by the Blue Jays, who threw the final pitch, and they win the World Series. So you can fix the bullpen during the year. You can't necessarily fix the rotation. And I agree with you. Keep Garrett Whitlock in that role where he's throwing more innings.
We talked last week. I asked you the question, is the umpiring worse this year? And you said you didn't think so. Well, after last night, do you want to change your answer? Because that pitch to Plawecki, 3-2, 2 outs, 6th inning, bases loaded in a tie game, that should have been ball 4. That pitch by McHugh was like a strike in bowling.
Yeah, and it completely changed the trajectory of that game. And it got me really to thinking about, what baseball should do, about the electronic strike zone, possibly about what to do with umpires. So I'm curious to see if you agree with this potential solution, because I think baseball needs to get itself as close to possible where the players are deciding games. That game last night, in part, was decided by that horrific call. Kevin Plawecki down 0-2 in the count, works it back to 3-2. Great plate appearance. Takes ball 4, and you could understand his frustration. Alex Cora's frustration, like, we should be leading right now 4-3, and who knows what would have happened after that. But here's my idea. Look, a lot of people are talking about an electronic strike zone, and I think 3 or 4 years ago I was all in favor of that. But after having conversation with a lot of veteran catchers, I hate the idea that the nuance of that position would go away immediately. So the idea of how to handle a pitcher, how to work with an umpire, all of those skills developed by like the Molina brothers would completely disappear from that position. But I do think they have to find a way to get the umpiring better if they don't go to an electronic strike zone. And the way to do it, I think if you have umpires who are really good at calling balls and strikes, use them in that spot more often. To handle the umpires like you do a pitching staff, where you've got an ace and a number 2 guy, and then you have a closer. Well, you know what? If on a 4-man staff, 2 guys are better at calling balls and strikes, put those guys, rotate them through every other day behind the plate. If you have a guy who's really good at calls at first base, safe or out, put him there. If you want to, graduate a veteran umpire who's not as good at balls and strikes as he used to be, put him at third base, have him run the replay system. The idea that, you don't have a meritocracy with major league umpires is insane to me. Like, they have the ability to evaluate these guys. And, we heard about Joe West for years, for example, that he was much better at balls and strikes than he was on the bases. Well, if that was the case, he should have been doing balls and strikes more. And that doesn't mean doing them every night, because you have a physical component like you do hockey goalies. But I think there's a way to get the guys who are better at balls and strikes behind the plate more often, and get the guys who aren't good at it either out of the big leagues or in a better place, whether, first base or third base.
I absolutely love that idea. I think that is an ingenious idea. It's the first time I've heard it. We have specified roles for players. We should have more specified roles for umpires. I'm 100% in on that. So good idea, Buster. We're talking with Buster Olney of ESPN here on the Brady Farkas Show, as we are every Thursday. So the Red Sox are 11-20 right now. They're in last place in the American League East. There are other contenders to this answer. The Mariners are disappointing. The Phillies are still under 500. Are the Red Sox the most disappointing team in baseball for your money?
No doubt. Given what they did last year, especially leading up to the trade deadline, they are first place in the American League East. During the course of wintertime, this great free agent class. of players that were available, and the idea that they've taken this far of a step back makes them, without a doubt, the most disappointing team. The good thing is, with the addition of one wild card team in each league, the standings can be more forgiving. I mentioned the 2019 Nationals. They were awful until late May, and they came back and won the World Series. I'm not predicting that's what's going to happen with the Red Sox, but there is time for them to come back. I think they're capable. Maybe Trevor Story's home run last night is a sign that he's going to turn the corner. Maybe they start hitting better, create more margin for error for that bullpen. Maybe they find some bullpen solutions that we talked about. But to this point, no question about it. Nobody thought that the Red Sox would be a team where they're just winning 1/3 of their games.
And I would need a study on this. I'm kind of talking out of frustration here about my Mariners, but I wonder if any of it applies to the Red Sox. And I don't know that you would have an answer to this, so it's probably an unfair question. It's more anecdotal observation by me. But I look at the Mariners last year, and I think, okay, they won 90 games, but they also won 12 games because of the fluky extra inning rule. And I wonder how many teams benefited from the COVID rules, the 7-inning doubleheaders where your bullpen wasn't exposed as long. I'm not saying the Red Sox last year were a product of that stuff, but I do wonder if those COVID era rules kind of changed how good a team actually was.
And maybe masked how good or bad a team was.
Yes.
Changed because of the crazy rules, and maybe there are teams that are better at taking advantage of it. Maybe, there's just a higher degree of luck when you start out every extra inning, with a runner in scoring position already. I agree with you. I don't know the answer to it. I don't know if the Red Sox are necessarily, better at it last year or, more adept at those situations. I do know this. If you have a bullpen which is suspect, and clearly the Red Sox do, then starting out an extra inning with a runner at second base is a recipe for disaster. So you get, I can't remember which game it was, but last week when, Matt Barnes was brought in that game at Fenway Park.
It was against the Angels.
10th inning. Right, exactly. Where you knew, the moment, oh boy, they might be in trouble, and sure enough they were. They lose the game. I think that, that's where the faults in a bullpen can really show in extra innings when you put a runner on base like that.
The Red Sox are 0-6 already in extra innings this year. So maybe It wasn't a benefit last year, but it certainly has been a detriment this year. That's for sure. And, Buster, we've spent a lot of time talking about Bogaerts potentially leaving, and that is still very, a very real possibility. But in addition to him, Kike Hernandez is a free agent after this year. Christian Vasquez is a free agent. Michael Wacha, Rich Hill, Nathan Eovaldi, a lot of that bullpen, and Kike Hernandez also, if I didn't already say him. There's a lot of questions beyond just Bogaerts. On the one hand, hey, great payroll flexibility. On the other hand, there's a lot of holes to fill in the future. This could even get worse potentially.
Yeah, and I do think at some point, depending on how deep their hole gets, you do have to start to evaluate those questions. But as you and I talked about last week, I think that you execute a sell-off with much greater peril in a big market than you do, say, in Tampa Bay or, in Kansas City or in Pittsburgh or in Cincinnati. Because not only is the question, part of the equation about how do we maximize the values of the players on this roster, but you also ask the question, how is this going to affect TV ratings? How is this going to affect the fan base? Are they going to become more disillusioned? Because you don't see big market teams do a sell-off. In fact, the only real time in the last, 30 years the Yankees have sold off players was in 2016 when they traded away Andrew Miller and Aroldis Chapman, their two best relievers, and flipped them for talent when they clearly were not close to winning. But that's pretty rare. And I don't live in New England the way that you do. I certainly know a lot of people who are up there, and my sense is that a lot of Red Sox fans are kind of angry, and I don't think it's necessarily an easy slam dunk strategy to say, well, it's a lost year, just go ahead and trade, Xander Bogaerts, go ahead and trade. I think especially following what happened with Mookie Betts, I think Red Sox fans are on edge right now. And they are not going to embrace that type of thinking, especially because I think they're questioning the decisions leading up to this year and wondering, boy, are we in the best possible position to be making those sort of trades and executing a sell-off? Are we, do we have the best people making the choices? It's a dangerous thing to do if you're a big market team.
Well, the Red Sox are already in the crosshairs, and if and when the Bruins and Celtics are eliminated, the sole crosshairs will be focused on the Red Sox. So we'll see. For Chaim Bloom and Sam Kennedy and John Henry's sake, just hope the Bruins and Celtics keep winning. So we'll see what happens. But Red Sox open up a series with the Rangers in Arlington tomorrow night. We'll have the coverage for you as always. And Buster Olney, our ESPN MLB insider, with us every single Thursday at this time. Buster, appreciate you. We'll talk in 7 days.
Thanks, Brady.
Absolutely. Buster Olney of ESPN with us every Thursday. I really like Buster's idea about umpires. Umpires who are better behind the plate should be behind the plate more often. I am not a proponent of taking the human element out of games. I'm not. But it gets harder and harder to defend human umpires when you see things like we saw last night. Like the Red Sox were tied 3-3, had the bases loaded. Kevin Plawecki should have walked on a 3-2 pitch. You should be up at least 4-3 with the train moving, and you get a chance to go and get more and then get a 2-game series sweep and then some momentum, and instead you fall to 11-20. There is no way that pitch on Plawecki can be called a strike. I don't think it crossed in the zone. I know it didn't land in the zone. Just an atrocious miss behind the plate. One call does not decide a game, but one call can have a huge impact, and that one did. It was absurd. I'm glad that Buster agreed with me about Garrett Whitlock. It was good to see Trevor Story homer yesterday. I still think he can turn things around. I don't know about the team, but I still think that Story can prove his worth here over the course of this season, over the course of his contract. So hopefully yesterday was the continuation or the start of something good for him. He swung it a little bit better here the last couple of days. They get 2 hits on Tuesday, and then he had the homer yesterday. Mark in Essex has a thought for me on the Celtics. Brady, a 14-point lead in the NBA isn't as big a deal as you make it. Your points are good, but that's over-exaggerated. A 14-point lead in the regular season in the NBA in one quarter is not a huge lead. When it's the Celtics and Oklahoma City, it's not that big. This is the playoffs. The Celtics are the top defensive team in the league. You are at home. When you are that good defensively, when you are at home and we're in the playoffs where everybody is trying defensively, 14 points is a big lead. That's a lead you've got to hold. If I told you a football team was up 10 with 5 minutes to go and they lost, you would consider that a choke. It's not insurmountable, of course, but you would consider it a choke. You've got to find a way to finish. The Celtics didn't. The Celtics didn't. 14 points in the playoffs for the best defensive team in the league at home. That's a lead that needs to be held on to. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. Let's get back into the Celtics on the other side of the national news update. I really don't love what came out post-game between Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum. If you didn't hear what each of them had to say, you're going to want to, because I think there's some shots being thrown across the aisle at each other. I'll tell you what they said and why it's a big deal. That's next in the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Parents are scrambling to find whatever baby formula is available amid a nationwide shortage.
It's like a rat race, you know? It's like you have to rush to Target as soon as they open to see if there's anything on the shelves, and, there's nothing.
But CBS's Stephen Portnoy reports the White House is working on fixing that.
Our message to parents is we hear you, we want to do everything we can, and we're going to cut every element of red tape to help address this and make it better.
But Press Secretary Jen Psaki wasn't able to say how soon stocks of baby formula would be back to normal on store shelves. The administration will target price gouging and seek to ramp up imports of formula from other countries. And Psaki says the use of the Defense Production Act to make more formula is under consideration.
Experts are urging people to contact food banks and doctors' offices, but warn, do not water down formula to stretch supplies. President Biden wants the world to keep its foot on the gas when it comes to the pandemic because it won't be the last.
You know, we're going to face together global health crises. This is not the last one we've had. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So we have to invest now.
The U.S. hit 1 million COVID deaths, and we are learning more about a subvariant. CBS's Alexander Tin.
The Omicron variant appears to survive longer than the original strain of the virus on a variety of surfaces, ranging from tissue paper to glass. The scientists say more research is still needed to determine whether Omicron's better stability on surfaces might account for part of the variant's rapid spread.
Electrical circuit activity may be to blame for a wildfire that's destroyed at least 20 homes in Laguna Niguel, California. KCBS TV's Kara Finstrom.
Flames were moving so fast. Most residents in this neighborhood had little time to evacuate and took anything they could carry.
We didn't know what to grab: computers, photo albums, financial stuff, and it was just surreal.
Fighting's getting intense as Ukrainian soldiers try to regain ground from Russia. CBS's Deborah Pata.
In the east and south, the fighting has not let up. Civilians forced to flee. They've witnessed horrors no one should ever have to see. And this teenager, already wise beyond his years. The young have no future, he says. The old have no past.
For the first time, we're seeing an image of a massive black hole in our Milky Way. Astronomer Fariel Ozel.
This image shows a bright ring surrounding the darkness, the telltale sign of the shadow of the black hole.
It was captured by telescopes around the world. This is CBS News.
There's always something new under the sun. CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172. or 1-800-585-1211.
Congratulations to Will Sipsey of Lincoln, our latest winner from the WDEV Fairness to Fans machine.
Excellent. This is Will Sipsey from Lincoln, Vermont. I just want to say that I have a rebuilt LaRue Brothers transmission in my 1999 Dodge 250 Ram. It is a great transmission.
No purchase is necessary. The next drawing is Thursday, May 19th. Fill out an entry form at WDEVradio.com. The Fairness to Fans machine, maintained by LaRue Brothers Transmissions of Barton, only on WDEV.
When we need support, Vermonters know we can count on community. And when Vermont's community service providers need support, they count on the Vermont Community Loan Fund. For 35 years, VCLF has specialized in lending to community facilities and nonprofit service providers, including rural health centers, assisted living facilities, early care and learning programs, arts and cultural organizations, and even a historic general store or two. VCLF's flexible financing helps them do what they do best, guaranteeing access to essential quality of life services for all Vermonters. Vermont nonprofits and community facilities can count on the Vermont Community Loan Fund, so you can count on them. Isn't that what community is all about? Find out what the nonprofit lending specialists at the Vermont Community Loan Fund can do for your community at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV. Thanks to Buster Olney for stopping by. You can check out Buster's interview as well as the interview we'll do later with Sarah Dalton Graddock on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel. All our interviews and all of our full shows always available there. Just please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts and the follow button on Spotify. I do not like one bit what came out post-game yesterday from both Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum. Remember, I got to set the scenario here for you to jog everyone's memory. If you remember, there were 11 seconds left in the game. The Celtics were down 108-107. Derek White took the ball out of bounds. Marcus Smart eventually got the ball. He got it running towards the corner. He got the ball, turned towards the baseline, tried to get a step on Pat Connaughton, did get a step on Connaughton, went up for the shot, and Drew Holiday ended up blocking it from behind and then throwing it off of Smart, and the Celtics had to foul. So that was the play. Here's what people had to say after the game about it. Here was Marcus Smart on that play.
No, I didn't see him. It wasn't. The play was actually JT was supposed to come up and get it, but everybody was just standing around. And, you know, we had no timeouts, and it was a 5-second count on the way. So, you know, I just got open, tried to make a play. Drew did a good job of, you know, helping. That's it. Made a good play.
Listen to the first 5 seconds again.
No, I didn't see him. It wasn't. The play was actually JT was supposed to come up and get it, but everybody was just standing around.
JT was supposed to get it, but everybody was just standing around. So there's two possible ways to take that comment, neither of which are good. One, there was a possible miscommunication on the play in which the Celtics, on the play the Celtics were supposed to run. Like, both Smart and Tatum were expecting something different to happen. So Smart decided to just take matters into his own hands, in which case I would say, how can you not know the play, either of you, coming out of the timeout? Like, if Smart is expecting Tatum to do something and Tatum is expecting something different, how do we not know the play at this point in the game? So that is possibility number one. Possibility number two is that the play was correct and Smart is just taking a shot at his teammates. Either way, neither one of those scenarios would be good. I don't know what the answer is, but if you watch the play again, Tatum is down in the opposite corner, closest to the bottom of your television screen. He's getting a screen from Al Horford. It certainly looks like he's trying to get into the play, but it does develop slowly. So to me, it looks like Smart is taking a shot at everyone because the play isn't developing fast enough. Like, Smart thinks that maybe that screen from Horford is supposed to happen earlier, and therefore Tatum is supposed to come up earlier, and then he's supposed to be able to get the ball off the inbounds pass. Instead, Smart says, look, no one's doing anything. So at that point, I'm just going to put matters into my own hands. So you have Smart's comment there, and then you have Tatum here.
Yeah, it was a little miscommunication. I guess the play broke down and you know, Smart drove baseline. You know, Drew Holiday made a good play at the rim. You know, it's as simple as that.
Miscommunication, was that something broke down where you were supposed to do something else, somebody was supposed to do something else? Like, what was the miscommunication?
Yeah.
So Tatum says there was a little miscommunication, and then when he's asked a follow-up about it, he gives a little wry laugh and says, yeah.
Somebody was supposed to do something else. Like, what was the miscommunication?
Yeah.
He gives the, yeah. So somebody did something wrong in Tatum's mind. You tend to not laugh if you think that you screwed up. If you screwed up, guys take accountability. Tatum clearly thinks that Smart screwed up. So you have Smart who thinks Tatum screwed up because he didn't get the ball, he didn't come to the ball, and everybody was standing around. And you got Tatum who thinks that Smart screwed up because, like, hey, you were supposed to do something different. I hate what I have heard. We either have a team that was unprepared and didn't know the play, and two guys are on totally different wavelengths, or we have Celtics team leaders that are throwing shots across the aisle at their teammates. Neither scenario, neither situation is good. You need this team to be together. You need this team to stay together. And those answers there show just a tiny bit of fracture, a little bit of disagreement. And that's not something I love hearing heading into a game where my season is on the line. At a time where you need togetherness, you have a little disagreement. I don't love that. When I heard Smart say the play was for JT, he didn't come get the ball, and everyone else was standing around, I'm like, oh boy. Either nobody knows the play or that's a shot at Tatum. And then you have Tatum saying that the play broke down and there was a miscommunication. And, yeah, like, he doesn't think that's his fault. If he thought it was his fault, he'd tell you it was his fault. At least I would think so. He's taking a shot at Smart. Smart's taking a shot at him. That's not what anybody needs before Game 6. This is the kind of thing that would have happened at the Kyrie Irving-led Celtics. Should not be happening here on these Celtics. By the way, as for the play itself, okay, as I said, as for the play itself, I think that Smart made the wrong play, but I'm not mad at him. I hope that makes sense. With 11 seconds left, I think it's perfectly reasonable for Smart to get the ball, to gather, and then to look for his teammates. Instead, he just catches and goes. If he had just looked up, Marcus Smart would have seen he had Jaylen Brown in the middle of the floor. Even after his drive towards the baseline, he had Brown there in the paint. We also don't know what would have happened with Tatum on the other side. I think a different shot could have been created. There was time to create it. So I do think that Marcus Smart made the wrong basketball choices. But that said, I am not mad at him. I cannot fault a guy for trying to make a play with a game on the line. I cannot fault a guy for recognizing the urgency of a situation and just trying to go. He catches the ball with Pat Connaughton on his backside. He thinks he can beat Connaughton to the hoop. There was no help side defense. There was no shot blocker there. So from his vantage point, if he beats Connaughton, he's got a layup. Drew Holiday came from the backside. You can't see him. Smart couldn't see him. He didn't drive into double coverage. Holiday made an unbelievable play. I do think there was time for Smart to do something else, but I don't think that Smart made a stupid play. That's an all-time defensive play by Holiday. Sometimes you just have to tip your hat. So I do think there was a different basketball option for Marcus Smart on that play, something that could have yielded the ball in Jaylen Brown's hands or maybe Tatum's hands, and you could have gotten a good shot. That is possible. But I do not think what Marcus Smart did was stupid. Both things can be true. I always say that. There was a better play on the board, does not make Marcus Smart's play a bad play. In fact, the play that is actually far more egregious by Smart is literally the very last play of the game. If you want to be mad at Marcus Smart, this is the one to be mad at. Reminder, 110 to 107 was the score. Bucks obviously had the lead. There was 5.9 seconds left. Celtics were taking the ball out from underneath their own basket. Smart inbounds the ball to Al Horford, who pitches it back to Smart. Smart gets the ball. He's at about his own free throw line. There are 4 Bucks defenders on the same side of the court as Smart. There's Holiday, Portis, Connaughton, and Wes Matthews. They were all on the same side of half court that Smart was on. 4 Bucks defenders. There were only 3 Celtics on that side of the court. There's Smart, who had the ball, there's Horford, and there's Jaylen Brown. So Tatum is on the other side of the court, as was Derek White, against just 1 Bucks defender, that was Giannis. Smart dribbled the ball towards half court, drew a crowd. He drew 3 Bucks defenders, and he never gave up the ball. That's the play that's more egregious. There's 4 Bucks players and 3 Celtics players. There are 2 Celtics to just Giannis on the other side of the floor that you're trying to go to. Marcus Smart could have and should have given up the ball, looked for Tatum, and looked for a game-tying shot there that at least there would have been a chance at. Instead, Smart dribbles into that crowd, and Holiday picks his pocket, and the game is over. If you're looking to get mad at Marcus Smart for something, that is the play to be mad at. When it's 108, 107, and he drives baseline and Drew Holiday makes that play, that's not one that I think is all that bad a play. It wasn't the best play. It wasn't a terrible one, though. The play to be mad at is the final play. Go back and look at the highlight. Go back and look at the replay. You will see just how open Tatum is at various points of that play. Yes, Giannis is going to contest it, but he's the only guy on the other side. You can get it to Tatum, and he could have gotten a shot, and instead, you get nothing. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Celtics have to make sure there's no division in that locker room. They need Smart. They need Tatum. They need them on the same page because there's no time for woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's our job. We can woulda, coulda, shoulda. There's no time for them to woulda, coulda, shoulda. Show is brought to you, by the way, by Pro Driver Training. Brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online at prodrivercdl.com. They can help you with your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL, passenger, and advanced skills training as well. All right, every time we have a full show, we do this. Let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash, which is Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. It begins at just $20 a month. So unlimited car washes, $20 a month, all that dirt and grime that's up there. Yeah, you want to get rid of that. Heck, just one free car wash, that would work too. You can text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. Let's get some Patriots news and notes that are coming out there. First off, the NFL schedule is being fully released tonight. We've already got some leaks for the Patriots schedule out there that we believe to be true. We'll get to that momentarily. I asked Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio yesterday if he cares about the NFL schedule release.
Hell no. I could care less about that, and here's why. I only get geeked up for week 1. After that, we don't know what these teams are going to look like. We haven't even gotten to OTAs with certain teams. We haven't gotten to training camps.
So Freddie doesn't care about the NFL schedule release at all. Do you care about the NFL schedule release? 802-585-3026, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. I love the NFL schedule release. I strongly disagree with Freddie here. I hate mock drafts. I hate betting lines usually in most of their forms, but I love the schedule release. And while Freddie's point is taken, we don't know who will be good at this point. We do have an informed idea of who's going to be good. We know who the quarterbacks you're going to be playing are for the most part. We know who the head coaches you're going to be playing are. That stuff, I think, does matter. I love NFL schedule release day. And when the Patriots schedule comes out here in an hour and 45 minutes, here's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for 5 things in the Patriots schedule. 1, when is the bye week? When is the bye week? That matters. And that's going to be the first thing the players look at too. When is the bye week? I don't want a bye week in week 5, okay? That leaves me out to dry for most of the season. I also don't want to bye like the Patriots had last year in week 14. Pats actually were okay health-wise heading into it, but largely you need that bye more towards the middle of the season to get healthy from bumps and bruises. Perfect time for a bye, weeks 8 to 10. If the Patriots bye is between weeks 8 and weeks 10, I will be very happy about that. So I'll be looking for where is my buy first. Secondly, I'll be looking at what is my situation around Thursday night football. I'll be looking at that. Thursday night football is a big deal, and how your schedule is sequenced around it is a big deal. Do I get my bye before Thursday night football? That would be a huge bonus. Am I getting a really good team on Thursday night football? Am I getting a really physical team on Thursday night football? Am I coming off of a really physical team on Thursday night football? I mean, if the Patriots have to play Cincinnati on Sunday and then Buffalo on Thursday, that would be a hellish 2-game stretch. It would be a whole lot different than playing the Dolphins and the Jets in that 2-game stretch with a short week. I'll be looking at Thursday night football. I'll be looking at when and where are my tough weather games. Am I playing Buffalo in January? Am I playing Miami in week 1 when it's really, really hot out in Miami? Remember 5 years ago or so now, the Patriots had week 2 in Jacksonville, 99 degrees, and the Pats got run off the field because they were just gassed for the entirety of the second half. And the Jags just killed them. That was after the Jags had gone to the AFC title game and lost to the Patriots the year before, and it's Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Fournette and Blake Bortles. They killed the Patriots. Playing in heat in early September, that matters too. I'll be looking at that. How many primetime games do I have? I know I'm getting a Thursday night game. How many Sunday night games am I getting? How many Monday night games am I getting? Last year, the Patriots were darlings for primetime games. I think they still had 5 games scheduled in prime time. How many more are we getting this year? Are we playing on Saturday this season? And then finally, what's the sequencing of my games? We already know the Patriots have 9 away games and 8 home games. Do they have any stretches where they have 3 road games in a row? I'll be looking at all of that kind of stuff. The schedule release to me is actually very important. What quarterbacks am I playing and when? The league schedule is so much about things like that, so much about sequencing. You look last year, Pats got Bills, Colts, Bills in a 3-game stretch, and they go 1-2 down the end of the stretch, down to the end of the season. Where are those tough stretches this year? I mentioned there are some leaks out there right now, and there's more coming in as we go. Here's what we kind of think we know. The Patriots are on the road for the first 2 games of the season. They're going to open up at home in week 3. The team has confirmed that. Week 3, Patriots home opener is against Baltimore. So they're going to open their home slate against Baltimore in week 3. We believe the Patriots are week 1 on the road at Miami. So that weather game comes into play. You're at Miami week 1. Week 2, we don't know yet. But we know it's on the road because their home opener is week 3. Then they get Baltimore, and week 4, we believe they go to Green Bay. That's a tough 4-game stretch to start your season, is it not? At Miami in the heat and all of their speed, to be determined week 2. Home for Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, at Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. That's a tough first 4 weeks of the season. Again, and that week 2 opponent on the road could be a very tough opponent also. We think we got week 5 at home against the Lions. Week 7, we hear it's at home Monday Night Football against the Bears. That would be Mac Jones against Justin Fields. Thanksgiving, this is confirmed. The Patriots are going to take on the Minnesota Vikings in prime time on Thanksgiving Thursday. So that night game, right? Lions early game, Cowboys middle game, Patriots Vikings the late game. I also think the Patriots are going to play the Bills on Thursday Night Football based on something that I read. And they're going to host the Dolphins on January 1st. That's kind of where we're at now. Not everything is out, but I just gave you probably 7 reported games of their 17. I did also see Sunday Night Football week 15, Patriots hosting the Raiders. So Josh McDaniels Bowl. So as of now, that would be 4 primetime games for the Pats right off the bat, right? Sunday night with the Raiders, Monday night with the Bears, Thursday Thanksgiving, and Thursday their usual Thursday game, which I believe is against Buffalo. So that's what we know now We'll know fully more tomorrow. Zach Cox, Patriots insider at Nesson, is going to stop by tomorrow to give us more insight and opinion on the Pats and their schedule. One piece of Patriots news today is that the Patriots have traded backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham to the Raiders and Josh McDaniels. I told you after the draft. It was one of my takeaways. Peter in Williston, gives me credit for it earlier in the day on the text line, 802-585-3026. I told you, Jarrett Stidham was not going to be on this roster. He was either going to be traded or he was going to be cut. I did not know if the Patriots could find a trade partner for him, but they did. He goes to Vegas. The minute the Patriots drafted Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky, Jarrett Stidham's fate was sealed. So Stidham and a 7th-round pick go to Vegas for a 6th-round pick. Pats get a better pick. I don't quite know why they had to give up a pick also, but they do get a better pick by 1 round. So not surprised at all that Stidham is gone. Final year of his deal, had failed to show any real substantial growth. I am disappointed that it didn't work out for him here. I do think that Jarrett Stidham throws a nice ball. We actually saw him throw a couple of touchdowns for the Patriots, remember?
Stidham leans in, takes the snap, in the pocket, lobs a throw, left corner for Harry, diving catch, touchdown, Patriots!
That was in the 2020 season when Stidham came on in relief of Brian Hoyer in that game against the Chiefs where Cam Newton couldn't start because he had COVID still. So that was, how about that? There's a highlight, Jarrett Stidham to N'Keal Harry. We also saw him throw a touchdown to Gunnar Olszewski in some mop-up duty.
With a 2nd down and 9 snaps. Again, a play fake and a throw down the middle. Olszewski catches at the 25, runs right to the 15 to the 10. High steps out of a hit into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
I do think that Jarrett Stidham throws a nice ball. He threw some picks, not great in pressure, but I wish him well in Vegas. I go back to right after Tom Brady left. There was a 3-month period or so where we all kind of thought that Stidham was going to get an opportunity. There was a 3-month period between Brady leaving and Cam Newton signing that Stidham had a chance to run with things, and evidently he didn't. Now, it was tougher because it was the pandemic, and the beginning of the pandemic, and nobody was supposed to go anywhere. So harder for Stidham to have gotten in touch with guys and done workouts, etc., but he did not take full advantage of that 3-month period where Brady was gone and Cam wasn't there. I think the Pats were willing to give him a chance, and he just didn't take it. So say what you want about Cam. He came in and took the job in a way that Stidham never did. But Stidham, he's gone as we predicted. It's Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. When we come back, the Red Sox, they are the most disappointing team in all of baseball. That's next on DEV.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, proudly supporting local government, local businesses, and WDEV. Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologics, growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You've heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. Take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. Call QC Kinetics now. 802-PAINLESS. 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
Critical race theory did not spring out of the ground last summer when George Floyd died. And so hopefully we can kind of retrograde define critical race theory all the way back as kind of a continuous 250-year project that's been in development, which is a big difference from George Floyd died and the world went crazy.
a symposium on critical race theory and transgenderism by two nationally recognized figures, Dr. James Lindsay and Dr. Nicholas Merriweather, on Friday, May 13th at 7 p.m. for a dinner and lecture with panel discussions and additional lectures on Saturday, May 14th, 9 a.m. For details, go to vtgrassroots.com. That's vtgrassroots.com. Again, vtgrassroots.com.
This has been brewing for a while. Critical race theory got its name in 1989.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism can affect any family. Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Guy's Farm and Yard. If it eats and grows, Guys can feed it. GuysFarmandYard.com. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com. Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Sarah Dalton Graddock, she is the UVM women's lacrosse coach. She's going to be with us in about 15 minutes. Her team wins its first ever America East Tournament championship. They're headed to the NCAA tournament. They're going to play tomorrow against the University of Denver. So Coach Dalton Graddock will be with us here. And, about 15 minutes from now. The Red Sox are off today. They're taking on the Texas Rangers for a weekend series that begins tomorrow at Globe Life Field in Arlington. And as we sit now, 31 games into the Red Sox season, we can confidently say the Red Sox are the most disappointing team in baseball. I was really trying to outsmart the room on this one. I was trying to find a piece of information that would make this not the case, but I can't. The Red Sox right now are the most disappointing team in baseball. I'm sorry that that's the case, but it is. The Red Sox went to the ALCS last year. They were 2 wins away from the World Series, and now they have the 4th lowest winning percentage in the sport and the 2nd lowest in the American League. For a team with Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers and JD Martinez and Trevor Story that has Alex Cora as a manager, that is unacceptable. For a team that has the money and the resources that the Red Sox have, that is unacceptable. Look, there are other disappointing teams. The Phillies have spent $1 gazillion on Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, and they're 14-17. The Mariners won 90 games last year, and they're 14-18. They're up there. But no one is as disappointing as the Red Sox is. Now, you get the Rangers for 3 this weekend. They're awful. You get Seattle for 4 next week. So there's 7 winnable games coming up here over the next week and a half. You better use that as a springboard, because if you can't, this season is going to be over really before it started. We're already hearing Xander Bogaerts trade rumors. You'd hear them about Nathan Eovaldi also, and several others would be mentioned if this thing doesn't turn around. I know there's been some bad luck, but damn, it is really hard right now to watch the Red Sox given all the expectations. And while a lot of people can argue the Red Sox didn't do enough this offseason, let's also understand they didn't lose much from last year's team. Mostly that team that won 92 games and got to the ALCS, it's mostly the same this year, and they added Trevor Story. Like, losing Martin Perez, Garrett Richards, Adam Ottavino, and Hunter Renfroe shouldn't cause you to crater like the Red Sox have cratered. There has been some bad luck. I hope that some of it will turn, but right now, they are the most disappointing team in baseball, and Buster Olney of ESPN was on with us an hour ago, and he agrees.
Given what they did last year, especially leading up to the trade deadline, they are first place in the American League East. During the course of wintertime, there's great free agent class of players that were available, and the idea that they've taken this far of a step back makes them, without a doubt, the most disappointing team. The good thing is, with the addition of one wild card team in each league, the standings can be more forgiving. I mentioned the 2019 Nationals. They were awful until late May, and they came back and won the World Series. I'm not predicting that's what's going to happen with the Red Sox, but there is time for them to come back.
Well, and this would be the time to come back, right? Houston for 3, Seattle next week for 4. I'm sorry, Texas for 3 this weekend, Seattle next week for 4. Houston's in there. That's a tough 3-game stretch, but you got 7 winnable games here. This would be the time to turn something around if you are the Boston Red Sox. And, Buster makes a good point about that great free agent class that was out there this year that the Red Sox weren't really a part of. And that goes back to something that Dan Shaughnessy said last week. One of the problems for this team might just be the success they had last year, because ownership might have thought they were much closer than they were. And I agreed with that then, and I agree with that now. I mean, I say, the team that won 92 games last year is largely back. Well, we could also look at it and say, was that team really as good as their record indicated? Well, ownership sees it and says, yeah, hey, we won 92 games with this team. We don't have to do more. Look, this team should have gone for Saya Suzuki. This team should have been in on Nick Castellanos. This team should have looked at Kyle Schwarber again. This team should have looked at Marcus Stroman. This team should have looked at Carlos Rodon. I was wrong on Justin Verlander. I told you not to look at Justin Verlander. He's been great. They should have looked at him then. But because the Red Sox thought they were close last year, they thought they didn't have to do that stuff. They were wrong. So as good as last year's record was, there were moves to be made this year to upgrade the roster, and the Sox didn't make them. Buster's right about that. Disappointing in how you handled the offseason, disappointing in how you've played on the field this season. It has not been a good year for the Boston Red Sox. And the Tigers are disappointing. They were supposed to be a lot better. They've got the lowest winning percentage in the American League. Again, Seattle's been bad. The Phillies are struggling, but no one is more disappointing than the Red Sox, given the expectations and the resources. I am glad that Buster agrees with me about Garrett Whitlock, because Garrett Whitlock does need to be a starter. I keep hearing on the Red Sox pregame show from Mutt, who, and I love, I think Mutt is awesome too, and he's going to come on this show again here at some point. Mutt says he needs to be in the bullpen. He's tired of watching the bullpen blow leads. I'm tired of it too, but Garrett Whitlock needs to be a starter, and he needs to remain a starter. Now, you may come up against some innings limitations later in the year, but for now, Garrett Whitlock needs to be a starter. And I don't think the Red Sox chose this right now. It kind of chose them. Look, the Red Sox had Rich Hill have a death in the family. That opened up a spot in the rotation. Whitlock had to fill it. Chris Sale is hurt. You didn't plan for that. James Paxton's not ready yet. Tanner Houck's not vaccinated, so he couldn't go to Toronto. Hill's on the COVID list now. Waka is now injured. I think the Red Sox would prefer to have Garrett Whitlock in the bullpen. I think that would be their preference, for him to throw his 3 innings here and his 2 innings there. But circumstances have been created that have led us to this point. And now that we are here, I think Whitlock should stay a starter. That is his long-term future. That is his long-term value. Garrett Whitlock's got $18 million guaranteed. He's got a contract that could pay him up to $45-ish million. That's starter money. Okay? And he would be an incredible bargain as a starter. He would not be as big a bargain in the bullpen. Here's what Buster said about it, again, agreeing with me.
I want Garrett Whitlock right now, when you look at the state of the Red Sox pitching staff, throwing more innings. I think that gives them a better chance. And I also believe, bullpens can veer wildly in their performance. So a bullpen that's awful at the beginning of a season can be great by the end. So you can fix the bullpen during the year. You can't necessarily fix the rotation.
And Buster's right about that too. If you're thinking about this year's Red Sox, then Well, there's holes in the rotation Whitlock can fill. The bullpen can be fixed easier. And if you're thinking about the future, Garrett Whitlock is best served as a starter. The Red Sox have questions abound. Nathan Eovaldi's a free agent after this year. So is Waka. So is Hill. Sale, I never know what I'm going to get. So I have potentially 3 starting spots next year that need to be filled. Whitlock, he's going to take one of them. We might as well get him going towards that now. Sure, you got Connor Siebold, and you got Winkowski, and you got this guy Mata and Bello. You've got some guys down on the farm, and I'm excited about that. But Whitlock's already here. He's already an answer as far as I'm concerned. I would leave him in the rotation. Now that he's there, you might as well keep him there because that is his long-term future. You're paying him that way. You've got questions in that spot. He helps you there in the future, and he helps you there in the now. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Seeing if there's any more Patriots schedule leaks right now. Just seeing if we get anything else here coming in. Give a quick check. No, it doesn't say so. Yeah, it doesn't say so right now. But again, looking at week 1 on the road at Miami, week 2 to be determined, week 3 home Baltimore, week 4 at Green Bay. It's a tough sled here. Patriots had a tough 1 through 4 last year too, if you remember. Now, last year they were home for Miami, lost. At the Jets, they won. Then they were home for the Saints, and they got beat. And then they had Tampa, and they lost. So the Pats were 1-3 last year. They could very easily be 1-3 again this year, could they not? They could lose in Miami in the Heat. They could lose to Lamar Jackson. They could lose to Aaron Rodgers. And we don't know who that week 2 matchup is. Maybe that's a favor. Maybe that's the Jets. But I don't know. It's going to be... Patriots have a very interesting schedule. They have a lot of hard teams, a lot of hard quarterbacks there. Again, it's going to come out here about an hour and 15 minutes from now. Bruins, by the way, are getting ready here for game number 6 in their series with the Carolina Hurricanes. Hampus Lindholm is playing right here. Bruins have put out on Twitter that he is active. B's looking to hold off elimination and maybe hold off the end of the Marchand Bergeron era, because I've already seen talks like, if the Bruins lose, is it time to break up this group and and start not necessarily so much a rebuild, but get some more youth on the roster? Well, see what happens. See what happens here. We'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow as well. Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. UVM women's lacrosse. They're headed to the NCAA tournament. They're going to play tomorrow against the University of Denver. Sarah Dalton Graddock is at the helm of the Catamount program. She's a Vermont native. How did her team get to this point where they're going dancing? She's going to join me next right here on DEV.
Vermont Tire and Service is hosting their annual Cooper Customer Appreciation Day this Saturday. Enjoy refreshments, sign up to win prizes, and best of all, enjoy amazing savings on the old and special rebates on the new. Under the tent, you'll find blowout pricing on all Cooper tires, some much less than cost with mounting now or later. It's the Cooper Customer Appreciation Day this Saturday at Vermont Tire and Service, celebrating 40 years in business, River Street in Montpelier.
With Marvin, selecting the best window and door products has never been easier. From design styles and materials to window and door options that enhance performance, Marvin offers quality replacement products that stand the test of time. Let our Marvin specialists at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber help make your next replacement project a success. We offer convenient curbside delivery in St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, Derby, and Middlesex. Shop, order online, get updated store hours anytime at sticksandstuff.discovermarvin.com.
The 13th Annual Central Vermont Job Fair, Wednesday, June 1st from 10 until 3 at the Berry Auditorium. This is the second largest regional job fair in the state with over 60 companies from manufacturing, construction, healthcare, retail, services, and hospitality, seeking employees for open positions. Hosted by Central Vermont Economic Development, Creative Workforce Solutions, and the Department of Labor, with additional support from Northfield Savings Bank and Community National Bank. More info at centralvtjobfair.com.
Hustle up. We've got 8 more floors to go before lunch.
Sarusha's Window Washing Business
business is reaching new heights.
Swipe, and let's roll.
They need more certified cleaners to keep online reviews crystal clear.
Team, I know we're hustling, but watch for streaks. Candace, can you give me a hand over here?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Under the Hood, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Interest in electric vehicles is growing. Auto expert Jeff Gilbert spoke to Morning Consult auto analyst Lisa Whalen.
It's a mixture of new products coming, more attention being paid to EVs, and higher gasoline prices.
We definitely see some inflection points happening with respect to EV interest and ultimate purchase.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Jazz with George Thomas coming up at the top of the hour. No Red Sox baseball tonight. Sox back in action coming up tomorrow. We'll have the coverage for you at 7, just after 7 o'clock, as the Sox go down to Arlington to take on the Texas Rangers. One of the teams that's right in the neighborhood of, how bad the Red Sox are, so maybe a couple of wins here. We just talked about the Red Sox. We had Buster Olney on earlier. Now I want to transition back into lacrosse. We've done a lot of lacrosse this week between the Norwich men, who won yesterday in the NCAA tournament, the UVM men, who won yesterday in the NCAA tournament. Now, let's go to the UVM women, who are on the field tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock against the University of Denver. That game's going to be played in Massachusetts. And a really cool story this Catamount women's lacrosse team is. They beat number 1 Albany in the America East Championship game last weekend, came from behind in that one, and their head coach, Sarah Dalton Graddock, is a Vermont native, having graduated high school at Middlebury Union High School. And Sarah Dalton Graddock is with us now on the Brady Farkas Show. Coach, congratulations. Thanks for being with us. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Brady.
Well, I appreciate you being with us. Your team goes on the road in the America East Final, upsets, in quotes, upsets top-seeded Albany, and now you've captured the program's first ever America East tournament title. You know, oftentimes in life we build up experiences, and they often fall short of what we expected them to be. I got to imagine the final whistle goes off, and then the subsequent selections show that was probably better than you and your team had played it up to be. Take me through those moments.
Yeah, I mean, we were down that game for, 58 minutes, I believe. We didn't get the lead until 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So just to get that goal, to have the lead, we had a huge defensive stop in the last 90 seconds, and then we still had to take care of the ball, and we kind of gave Albany one last shot that went off after the buzzer. But I just looked at my staff, and I was like, holy smokes, we were America East champions. I didn't really have words. I still don't know if I have the perfect words to describe that moment, but it was just incredible. I mean, seeing the joy on our girls' faces from everyone, whether they were on the field or they were cheering their hearts out on the sideline, that's who they have been all year. And that was probably the greatest joy I could ever have as a coach, is getting to experience that with them and watching them share that moment together. And I told them they're champions for the rest of their lives, and they will never forget this. So that was great. It was a fun tailgate with our parents and, celebrating with our fans, and then a bus ride home. That was a blast, again, just to be a fly on the wall, watching them. And then we roll into Sunday night, and that was a little bit surreal as well. I mean, just knowing you're going to see your name up there. You know, we had an idea we probably were going to be going to Boston College, but we really had no idea who we would be playing and how that's shaking out. And so as you're kind of just seeing names announced, you're waiting and you're nervous in a way, but you know that you're going to see your name. So again, that was just a really cool moment to share with them. And for the first time in program history that, you know, we won a game in our conference, and then we went to champions, and then we're going to the NCAA tournament. I mean, just so much firsts that we are accomplishing. And it's fun to experience that. And, you know, we'll never forget these.
Yeah, you know, I was going to piggyback on that thought because it is really special to be a legacy program and to keep a legacy going. It's also really special to be the team that builds the legacy. So I got to imagine that this team is always going to have a special place in your heart and in the history of this program. This is going to be the team that people point to. How cool is that?
It's awesome. You know, this was a team I have absolutely loved. I've never enjoyed coaching a group more. And that's not because of our wins and losses. It's who they are as people and who they are as a team. I mean, their care for one another. They're no drama. They're bought in. They work really, really hard. And they're just so fun to be around. And again, just to watch their relationships with each other and to watch the joy that they have. But then again, like the first that we're accomplishing, I mean, those are things that when I took over this program, I was aware of like what we have done as a program and what we haven't done. And when I'm trying to get student athletes to come here, that's what I share of like, you get to come to a program and be a part of firsts and not just walk in where things have been done and just be a part, like you put your name on it and you get to say like, I did this, I changed this. And some people can see that vision and hear those words and say, yeah, I want to be a part of it and believe it. And some people maybe can't see that vision actually happening for one reason or another, but we had the right people here who love UVM, who love each other, who love our program. And then to, you know, kind of like what you said, to actually do it is another thing. I mean, you can work really hard and do the right thing and not get the outcome that you want, but we did. And no one can take that away from us.
America East Tournament champions, conference champions, now headed to Boston College City to take on Denver, which is a great program on the men's side and building a legacy on the women's side as well. So that game's going to be tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. We're talking with UVM women's lacrosse coach Sarah Dalton Graddock here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. Does it mean more to you to accomplish this here, being a native Vermonter?
Yeah, I love Vermont. And my love for this state grows as I get older. You know, I didn't go to school here at UVM. I went somewhere else, but the opportunity to be home in Vermont, I see how just great Burlington is, how great UVM is. And I think that really makes a difference when you know, truly do love a place and get to share this, you know, for me, like my family's here as well. And so to just share kind of my work life and my personal life and mix them together, I can't beat that.
Well, we're looking forward to watching again less than 24 hours from now. 4 p.m. UVM women's lacrosse at Boston College against Denver. And Sarah Dalton Graddock, Vermont native, went to high school at Middlebury and now at UVM helming the ship to the NCAA tournament. Sarah, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great America East tournament run and best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Brady. Have a great day.
Yeah, I will do just that. Sarah Dalton Graddock, again, a Vermont native. Very, very cool. And I really love one of the things she said about being the team that gets to do it first, right? Like it's her goal to make this a regular occurrence. But nothing is ever going to compare to being to the first time. And nothing is going to mean more to these players than being at the forefront of kind of the program's growth and ascension. I will never forget this. When I played college baseball, we were horrible. And there were multiple reasons why. Okay, we were awful. My junior year, we were 1-17 in our conference. We might have been like 15-25 overall. We didn't play anybody outside of conference. We were 1-17 in conference. And we got a new coach going into my senior year. And the next year, I think we won 20 games, and we went 9-11. No, it was 7-11 in conference. 7-11 in our conference. From 1-17 to 7-11, it was certainly a lot different. It was certainly a lot better. And I knew that as a senior, I wasn't going to be a part of the thing when it really got moving. When it really turned around, I wasn't going to be there. But I knew that being there on the ground floor was going to mean a lot to me. And the program just today, top seed in the conference tournament, a decade later, top seed in the conference tournament, and has been to the College World Series multiple times. Now, I didn't get to play in the College World Series, but I was there at the beginning. I was there laying the groundwork, and that has always meant a lot to me. Now, this team obviously has accomplished something in getting to the tournament, but these players, if this becomes a regular thing for the UVM women's lacrosse program, these players that started it, there's never going to be anything that compares to it. And it means a lot. It's going to mean a lot. This team will always mean a lot to Sarah Dalton Graddock, as she said, and these players will always have the memories of being the first team to accomplish it. It's really cool to have a legacy and uphold it and to keep a tradition going. It's also cool to build a tradition and to be the group that gets in at the ground floor. So very cool for UVM. They are taking on Denver. That's tomorrow, 4 p.m. in Massachusetts. That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank Buster Olney. I want to thank Sarah Dalton Graddock for stopping by. You can check out their interviews when the show is over on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. We got a full show again tomorrow, 5:30 until 7, and we will have a Patriots schedule to react to. I cannot wait. I know Freddie Coleman doesn't care about the schedule release. I do. We're going to have Zach Cox, Pat's insider over at Nesson, with us tomorrow to break it down as well. Which games would you most want to go to on the schedule? We'll play that game also. So that's it for us. Jazz with George Thomas is next. This is the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Memorial Day is just around the corner, and that means summer events are kicking off. The Waterbury Farmers Market comes back for the season on May 26th, and concerts in the park start a few weeks after. So head to Rusty Parker Memorial Park for a Thursday evening of food and fun. Memorial Day weekend also means the start of the Waterbury Adventure